welcome back. It's Lionel Yo, tech lead and partner at Westford. I wanted to make this video for a really long time, and here it is, the top 11 reasons to choose the Yii2 framework. Now, by now, you might have been getting the hint that I am quite an expert in the Yii2. In fact, I think more than 75% of our projects are built in Yii2. Now, this isn't by accident. This is not because I like the name. There are actually practical reasons why I selected this. And when a tech lead sets his consultancy to specialize in a framework, that's pretty serious business because after all, it affects our cash flow, our specialty, recruiting developers, and overall productivity of actually delivering a project. So you know I mean business when I select this stuff. So let's go ahead and look at the top 11 reasons why you should select the Yii2 as your framework of choice. Number 11, MVC. MVC is basically a modern style of arranging code. Before MVC came by, right, code was all over the place. You may have seen it if you're around in the 2000s, but MVC basically stands for Model, View, and Controller. So it is an arrangement of actually putting all your code into certain places where you can find them. Now, just a quick one on this. View is usually what displays and has all your front-end access, HTML, JavaScript. Controller is the overall brain of the situation, very high level, sort of a manager, and model actually the grunt work, the bean counter, doing all the heavy lifting. If your application looks like that, it's going to be really easy to look at the code and easy to transport the code. And you can actually have a very simple application that just has only these three kinds of files. That's why when it comes to front end, back end, right, I really struggle to see what is the big deal about it, because within the Yii2 framework, it already has this model, view, and controller structure. So this is a out-of-the-box installation of the Yii framework here, and this is the front page. And we're talking about the MVC. So here on the back, all you have to take a look is your models for the M, V for the views, and C for the controllers. So let's take a look at this. Everything else here, right? In practice, you can ignore the assets, the commands, the configs, the mail, the widgets. These are all supplementary classes that can be added in. But the main thing I like, let's take a look at a very simple page, which is the home page, right? So we have the view of the home page, which is index page. So this is similar to this page here, okay? And as you can see, right, in the view, this may be a PHP file, but there is hardly any PHP at all in this page. It's mainly just HTML. So that makes it very useful for our view file. You don't actually have to mess around with any code there. Now, in the controller over here, we have a whole bunch of things to handle with logins and responses and access control. But if you really just dive down into the simplicity of the page, all it does is render out the index. So there's a little bit of coding here, not much in there, but it tells you what is happening in the file. And finally, the model. Well, in the home page, there's actually no models over here. So I'll just take a look at the login page, right? Which has a username and a password. And all you have to do is take a look at the user login page. And here we can see it's using login form model. So all your hard lifting, all your code is actually here in login form. So MVC, very useful down here. You don't have to mess with the views at all. In fact, you can actually have someone more junior just come in here and play around with the CSS here. Number 10, Bootstrap out of the box. Now, if you're like me and UI UX design isn't really your thing, you prefer to get really into the thick of coding, right? UI can be really tough. What I really love about the Yii2 is that the Bootstrap comes right out of the box. You install the framework and bang, there it is. This is really good because if you deal with an application that's in prototype stage, right, it can be really ugly and really boring when you present it to the client without that UI UX. The other thing is that this gives you a really strong foundation of design that can be presented very easily. You're very efficient at delivering front-end design. You're very efficient at understanding how the structure works. Now, Yii2 is loaded up with Bootstrap 3. It can be loaded up with Bootstrap 4. You can take a look at some of the Bootstrap 4 that we've done. I personally don't see too much differences between 3 and 4 besides material design. And I've always told my clients, right, when it comes to UI design, you can have any front-end CSS framework you want as long as it's Bootstrap.
Not do anything. You can see my name that's just been changed over here, but this is all Bootstrap. Bootstrap buttons, Bootstrap navbar, Bootstrap titles. Very, very easy. So I have gone to the backend and added a table over here, and all I did was go to About and copy a Bootstrap table in there, like for like stock from W3 School, including the table and table border and some of the content over here. And that is all that is on that page. So Bootstrap really makes development really nice. Like you can actually just work with Bootstrap as a framework, much more enjoyable to actually see how the layouts are.
Number 9, Gridview. One of the worst things with working with data, right, especially in an application and that is so empty, you need to look at the data and understand the data. Gridview is a Yii2 powered widget that comes right out of the box with Yii, and it's very, very powerful. The best part about this is that it lets you manipulate data and see how the data is arranged before you actually start coding the application. And the best part about this, right, is that you don't have to have some sort of separate UI to actually look at your database. You can start coding right out of the box, and many a time, right, I have just simply had clients just leave Gridview in place without doing custom because it just achieved all the goals.
Gridview. I really love Gridview. Here I have a database that I have seeded with some fake data, ID, type, unit number, name, title, and description. Okay, running this is a MySQL database or MariaDB, and I've just included it and seeded it with some fake information. And all I had to do, right, is use Yii2's very powerful Gridview widget, right? Gridview widget and data provider model to generate all the information. And the best part about it, right? Let's take a look at what I actually did in the controller. So in tickets, all I did was run a search model and put the search filters in there. And then I rendered it into the view. That's all I did over here. That's the controller. That's it. That's absolutely it. Nothing else. And in the view itself, for tickets, all I did was use this Gridview controller. Basically, I used a namespace and then I called it out here, identified some of the items that will be in the column, put a serial column in the front, and put an action column at the back. That's all I did. I didn't write a single line of HTML. I didn't write a single line of code. And our entire grid view controller, and not only does this display all the information I want, it displays it in a nice table, and it allows me to do filtering, sort order. So some of these things are strings, so that's the reason why. But I can do that. I can also identify the ID. I can filter it. If I want to look at more information, I can just add it in. And there is a boom, additional column there, right?